Welcome to Introduction to Independent Torah Learning. Part 2, this is class number 2. In the last class, we got our feet wet by learning a little bit about the skills that we're going to need to learn Chumash, as well as a little bit of the information that serves as a background for the topic we're going to study. We are going to be learning about Avram Avinu and his life and his work. And so we learned about the first 2,000 years in around 15 minutes. And we're going to go a little bit slower from now on. We also learned the skills necessary to analyze text and the different approaches that one can take to analyze text. In this class, we're going to get down to much more basics. We're going to be learning building blocks, what the text is composed of, which is basically nouns and verbs. We're also going to be looking at Avram Avinu's grandfather and great-grandfather. So we're going to start with our skill building before we get into the text, because that will help us understand it. So the first basic part of any sentence that we always learn is person, place, or thing. It is the noun. So on the screen now, I have the word eretz. That's a very popular noun that we're going to need to know for the rest of the text. And it is there in black. A lot of my work is going to be color-coded. So when you see something in black, or if I tell you to keep something black, it means it's the basic root of the word. Now, if I want to add a prefix to the word, if I want to say that if I want to add to, with, in, instead of adding a word, which is so inconvenient because you have to type that extra space, the Torah saves us on white space and just attaches it to the beginning of the word. So we now have be'eretz, which means, or ba'aretz. Be'eretz means in a land. Ba'aretz means in the land. Very convenient, very easy. The prefixes are going to be color-coded in blue. But let's say we want to say whose land it belongs to. Again, we don't want to have to do that nasty white space, pressing the space bar. So the Torah gives us another solution. It says just add a suffix, add an ending. It will tell you who the noun belongs to. It is a possessive suffix. So bi'artzo is going to mean in his land. Now, don't get scared. We're going to back up and to take this step back. So in order to begin learning our nouns, we first need some nouns to play with. So we're going to learn about our family. This is our mishpacha, which is our name in Hebrew for family. And we're going to start, there's dad, who the family calls Abba. There's the mom, who the family calls Ima. And then there is Bini and Benny. And then there is a Basi and Bessie. So let's see how do you call these people in Hebrew? So the Abba, the father, in Hebrew, he is an ish, he is man, and he is called Av. He is a father. It's related to the word Abba, which is an Aramaic word. You drop off the aleph, you drop off the final sound, and you get Av for father. The father is married, the Abba is married to an Ima. The Ima comes from the Hebrew word aim, which is mother. The ish, which means man, has a corresponding isha, a wife. If you notice, the end of the word isha is a hey. That's because whenever you want to make a word into a feminine word, you add the hey at the end of the word. Finally, plural is nashim, there's many exceptions that this word is showing, so we're not going to really discuss the word, but we're going to come to it in the text, so I thought we should be introduced to it here. Nashim is wives. The first son, I'm not sure if we called him Bini or Benny, but in Hebrew, a son is called Ben. Now, Ben, many of us have heard of this before. In Shul, when a man gets called up for the Torah, he is referred to as Chaim ben Yitzchak, Chaim the son of Yitzchak, or Yaakov ben Avraham, Yaakov the son of Avraham. He is also oftentimes an ach, a brother, and sometimes the brother makes you go ach. More than one son is going to be called banim. Im, at the end of a word, we're going to learn, is the plural for masculine words. All words in Hebrew are either masculine or feminine, and so if we're going to learn the rules at a later date, it's not necessarily very important for our purposes, but banim is sons. Here we come to Basi and Bessie. So Basi, a daughter, is called a Bas. sometimes if you're in shul and you listen to the gabbai who's making the mishaberach for those that are sick, a prayer for those that are sick, they will refer to Sarah bas Leah, Sarah the daughter of Leah. We have a bas mitzvah. She becomes a daughter who is obligated in mitzvot. And achos is a sister, and that's also, there are grammatical rules that play here, but we're not going to discuss them now. And if you have more than one daughter, a bas plus a besti becomes a banos, daughters. We're going to be discussing some more nouns. We learned the nouns having to do with family. Now we're going to learn a few more nouns that show up in the next 11 or so psukim that we're going to be learning. So as I say them, as we read the text off the screen, you can read it along with me, and that way it'll make the process of learning the psukim that much easier. All these words are included in the online games, which is in the class website. So you can, after we learn this, go to the class website where there are links to games and flashcards to help remember the information. So nouns, the first one is Ela, these. S, which has no meaning or sometimes means with. S is used when you want to turn a noun rather than being the subject into the object of the sentence. So if you would say, I love Sarah. Sarah is the object. Rather than Sarah loves me, Sarah in that case is the subject. So S comes before the word that is used as an object. We're going to see it in context, so we're not going to spend too much time on it here. Eretz is land. Eretz Israel is our favorite homeland. Eretz Chita Usaora. Those are the words they use to describe the lands. Eretz Zavat Chalav Udvash, the land flowing of milk and honey. Sham, there. Nes Gadol Haya Sham, a great miracle happened there. Shem is name. Shana, year. We say Shana Tova, a good year. L'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim, the year to come should be in Yerushalayim. And Shanim is years. On this slide, we're going to be learning about how we change the nouns that we see to give them additional meaning, to give them context, to add a prepositional phrase. So we have 5 prefixes that we're going to be found in the unit that we're going to be studying in the text. The vav with the shva, means and it's an important prefix to learn and remember because it comes up so often in the text. We're going to see it in context, and it's going to help us learn it very quickly. U, also, depending on the first letter of the noun, will also be used. Then we come to the 3 prefixes that have that are used as prepositions. Be, which means in or with. Lamed, which means to or for. Mem, which means from. We're going to move on to the next slide. After we just give some examples, we have Lishana Tova, Lishana Haba B'Yerushalayim, for the year to come in Yerushalayim. Misham, from there. So now we're going to look at the next, and we're going to have our nouns, have our prefixes, and let's try to, so we have or. We want to indicate that's the name of a place. We want to indicate something having to do with or. So we say may or. That means from or. Again, we have or. Bit or would mean in or. And finally, hem would mean, if we want to add lamed, lahem, it would mean to them. So I'm just going to ask a question for you to think about. If I wanted to say from there, how would I do that? From there. It would be mi sham. If I want to say to a land, it would be le eretz. So we're going to see this in context, and it's going to become very clear the more we use it. We now are going to learn how to make the nouns, our family, or the lands. How do we make things belong to them or relate to these things? We want to have relationships, and we don't want to have to add on our space bar. So first we have prepositions, the suffixes, the two suffixes that turn something from being singular to plural. The two letters that indicate that a word is generally feminine is the letter He, which is going to be associated with woman. Isha was woman. Ish is man. Or Taf at the end of a word. Bat, Bas, is a daughter, because there's a Taf at the end of the word. How do we make either of these words plural? We add an os. When we add a vav taf, vav saf, we now have turned it into, instead of talking about one feminine object, into two. For boys, we use a yud mem at the end of the word. So while we have a ben, we would have banim. And there are no other example nouns that we have that would be simple to use. And ish becomes anashim, and the rest are going to be exceptions in our unit, of course, as our luck would stand. Now we want to make something the third person, talk about something that belongs to him, or we want to talk about something that is happening to him. So, vav acholam at the end of a word, a vav o would mean his, or a yud vav would also mean his. When we want to refer to something that belongs to them, or is happening to them, we're going to use a very simple rule. It's mem at the end of a word means them. Mem at the end of a word means them. Or there, except when there's chem, then it means your. But we're just going to have as a basic general rule, mem at the end of the word means them, or there. So let's put this, practice it once again. We have our nouns, we have our suffixes. Banios, daughters. Shanim, years. Aviv. Let's see if you can use the nouns that are on the right-hand side of the screen, then the column from the middle, to see what aviv would mean. Aviv would mean his father. Bino his son. Lahem. We know that lamed means two. Hem means to them. Itam. It means with. Itam means with them. Okay, with that, we conclude our section on